to episode 21 of the Any Games podcast with me, Dave.
And me, Gav.
Gav, do you want to introduce our guest this week?
Yeah, so today we've got Gar Cooney, who's head of football up in Tyrrelstown United now, is it?
Yeah, Tyrrelstown United FC, yeah.
Yeah, Gar, thanks for joining us this evening.
Yeah, no problem, lads. Thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, no worries at all.
So, Gar, we get into your current role at Tyrrelstown United, but first I want you to take us right back to the very start, where it all began for you in terms of football and how you got started.
Yeah, well, look, I suppose like us all, I was an 80s baby, so the early 90s and Italian 90s, we were kicking ball around. I was from the north inner city. Same as Gav, your cousin, or my cousin is your best mate, so we all grew up in the north inner city. We played in the street all the time, but my first actual proper football team was Cherry Orchard. I went out there when I was 9 years of age, under 10s, myself and a mate of mine, Kieran Moore, from Lynn Hall Street as well, because we had a link out there. My uncle Georgie, he was managing out Cherry Orchard, so we ended up going out there for a year, and it was my first experience of proper football, jerseys and dressing rooms and all of that stuff. But we were only kids getting the bus out to Ballyfermot, so we done it for a year. We were only 9 years of age. I wouldn't let me own young to go across the road at 9 years of age, but yeah, we went there, and that was our first experience and my first experience of proper football. Really enjoyed it, but was just too young to be commuting on my own out to Ballyfermot on the 79 bus. But we did it anyway. So I did a year out there, and then I came back and I signed for Kinvara, if you remember Kinvara, which are now Phoenix.
Yeah,
yeah, that's right. Because there was a few lads in school. I was in school with Mikey Kane and Paul Kilroy and Warren Campion, and we all signed for it. They were all playing for Kinvara at the time, so we signed for them under 11s and played a season, I think, there. But at that point, everybody wanted to play for Bows. That was just the way it was, because we all used to go to Bows games, and we were all local to Dalymount. We used to jump the wall and go up to watch the Bows and all that stuff. So I signed for Bows then when I think it was the under 12 season, and then I played for Bows all my schoolboy the whole way up to under 18s and finished there. We won the All Ireland under 18s, but we had it. Obviously, I done 6 or 7 years there as a schoolboy, and then all the way through to under 18s, and then at the end of the under 18 season, we actually signed a 2-year deal there. Stephen Kenny gave me a 2-year deal, so that was kind of, I know it's a quick route from 9 years of age to nearly 19, but
you covered that in about 19 minutes.
Yeah,
19 seconds.
That's kind of the snapshot on it. There's loads happened in between that, but
when you're that long somewhere, that is genuinely the joy.
I loved it. Like, there was no, even as a schoolboy then, I was obviously doing well, and different clubs are onto you, but we never wanted to go anywhere else.
You were at the club.
We wanted to play for the first team, even though you could have signed for the home farm were better than us, and Belleville were better than us. But we were decent. We were knocking on the door all the time, and we just never wanted to leave. So really enjoyed that, and went all the way through. Even when players were going signing for the likes of Stella, and they were in representative teams, and they were getting trials here, there, and everywhere, which wasn't really happening for us that much at Bowes, because we weren't pushing the way the other clubs were. But stuck it out. I'm glad I did then.
It's part of that, because you feel like you're at a League of Ireland club. Why would you want to go anywhere else?
Yeah, there was a bit of a part of it. Like, we used to go to the games on Friday nights, and because we played for like the under 14s and then 15s and 16s, we actually thought we were part of it, but we weren't really, like, obviously, but we felt like we were part of it. We were only playing for the local club.
But you felt like the end goal was
playing
in Dalymount.
We felt like we had a chance, because we went to Dalymount on a Friday night. We thought, this is us here. We were the ball boy every other week, and any week we weren't the ball boy, we'd have to jump the fence to get in, because they didn't let us in for nothing and all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
for anyone didn't see you play, didn't get to play alongside you, what position were you playing in?
I always played in the centre of the park. I suppose when I got older, I didn't drop back, like most people do, with a big centre half or anything like that. They pushed me further forward because it scored the odd goals, you know what I mean? So but I played in the middle of the park, because I could get around. I was always fit and strong. I could get around the park, so I suppose that was probably my best asset. So I always played in the middle of the park and really enjoyed it,
Yeah. You want to say something there, Dave?
Sorry, you covered it.
Is that what you got to ask?
Yeah.
Right, so you're coming up then, and you're after winning what was it?
I won the All Ireland under 18.
Under 18s.
Yeah, we I suppose, like I said to you, we weren't always the top team between the ages maybe 14s to 17s, but when we got to 17s and 18s, we had the likes of Willow McDonough and that in our squad, Alan Bourne, all good solid League of Ireland, ended up being all good solid League of Ireland players, and we really started to push on, so, to the point where when we got to the under 18s, we were the best team in the country under 18s, and A few of the lads got contracts at different League of Ireland clubs, or they were touting around them. And anyway, but I was the only one that got a deal at Bows, which was great. Now, when I say a deal, you talk about it as if you were after getting a super signing on fee and this, that, and the other. We were getting little or nothing.
Yeah.
But it was just the fact that you were being kept on and you were going full time. You just thought you were a superstar.
And I get you feel like again to continue on the
Exactly.
journey with Bows.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, you continue on wearing the jersey.
Yeah.
And what does that look like then in terms of your involvement with the force team? Like,
So,
are you training separately? Are you?
Yeah, well, so obviously when we went all the way up to under 18s, I left school when I was about, I was just gone 17, and I started an apprenticeship while still playing my schoolboy football. But that was around 17, around 16, 17, 18, and I'd started an apprentice carpentry, and I was doing it all right and enjoying it. But football was still the goal at that stage. So I was going and training midweek with my own team. But then at the weekends, because I was doing well, Stephen Kenny was bringing me up to train with the first team on Sunday mornings. So you were training all the time. That's what it felt like. And anyway, but when I finished, when the under 18s football finished, and he offered me the contract to come on full time, I ended up leaving me trade just because it was just an opportunity. So I'd done a year and a half of it at that stage, and I just knew because he was out there offering me something to come and play full time. My head just wasn't in it. I was gone.
Yeah.
And does it require that amount of commitment? Like, do you need to treat it like it's a full-time job in itself?
Well, it was at that stage because once I'd left the apprenticeship, once he'd offered me the contract, it was a full-time contract. We were training in the Alta every day.
Yeah.
So I had to give it up, even though there was a bit of arguing back and forward at home, my mum and dad, but they knew I was never going to stick it out if we had an opportunity to play football every day.
The chance is there. You're going to
go
with the football. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I have to say that was just, you came in and you were maybe the 23rd or 24th squad player, at that age, but you were training every day and going off and playing the weekends. It was just amazing,
And how long then before you get your first look in then?
I'd say at the end, I think I was 19 when I made my debut when it came on. We played a lot. We used to play in like the Leinster Senior Cup and the likes of them. So I played a load of them games. We all kind of did, They used to draft players in from under 18s and all to play them games. But I actually made my debut when I was under 18 or 19 in a cup game against UCD. And my best mate, Jay McGuinness, was on a similar pathway as me as well. He just got a contract. So the two of us made our debut on the same night against UCD, which was fairly special for us. But then it just kicked on from there. Finished off that season, done well, played a few games, but was always on the edge of it. You know what I mean? Never.
Yeah.
And I didn't really, to be honest with you, I shouldn't have been playing. I didn't expect to be playing. There was real pros there at the time, the likes of Kevin Hunt, Stephen Caffrey, and that. They were real professionals. It was my first insight to see of seeing real professionals and how they behaved and all, because we had that old mentality, of win or lose on the bills type of thing. You know what I mean? Even though you were coming through as a young player and you were doing well, you still went out on a Saturday night and all after game, or a Friday night after games. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
But you weren't throwing your toys out of the pram. You were thinking this is just the process. And
no, I knew, like, you had to have, say, respect for the manager, but I knew throwing your toys out of the pram when you shouldn't have been playing was just wasn't going to end well. I was loving life.
Yeah.
Cav, you know what I mean? It was really.
But did you feel like your time was going to come and that you were happy to wait for it to come?
He always told me that my time was going to come.
Yeah.
He loved myself and Jay. Stephen Kenny loved myself and Jay because we had a history of being at the club for so long. We lived local. We were from the north in our city. Like, it was our club. He often said that to us. So we always thought our time was coming, and we were performing well in training, but we just weren't experienced enough, or maybe physically developed enough that. Now listen, and you look at the kids nowadays who are getting around, the likes of Noonan, Rovers and that. But they're different. They're I'm gonna say they're nearly built differently, because the type of training they're getting, the strength and conditioning and the coaching that they're getting is superior to what we got.
Yeah, you see 16
because everything's kicked on as well now.
It's absolutely superior to what we got. I remember I was doing likes of spinning classes as cool downs, but we were thinking, what's this show?
Yeah. 16-year-olds these days though, to see them now, and I'm like, nobody on my team looked like that when we were 16.
Yeah, no,
do you know what I mean?
That, yeah.
Nobody, like,
not even in football.
No.
Kids, no one around. Just
they're going around with beards and everything.
Yeah. No, look, I think they're definitely softer now. I will say that much.
Well, that's the other side.
You know, this. I can't. My workload is too much this week. I can't play and I can't train and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I go out and watch quite a few games. I have a nephew. With 2 nephews who are very good. One of them is floating around the Pats 14s. He's just gone from Kevin's to Pats Cooper. And I've gone out and watched him a few times, and the level that them kids are playing at 14 is phenomenal. I'm not saying they would have beat us at 14 because we probably would have been a bit tougher and you know, would have roughed them up a little bit. I don't know, or maybe, you know, I don't know how it would have panned out, but the quality of football that they're playing and the level that they're playing at can only improve us as a country in years to come. Definitely.
But they do have that mentality, don't they? I see it now, even with young lads who might be, I won't name any clubs, but let's say they're at a decent academy for years, and then at 15, 16, they're moving clubs, let's say. They're putting up stuff on their Instagram, like they're professional footballers, and like thanking them and doing like a press release and all, and you're kind of going...
That's the modern era as well of just
kids,
kids, isn't
like
it?
I went from
social media, like.
From Verona to Tyrrelstown, like I didn't have that up on my social media about it, like thanking everybody at Verona, you know what I mean?
But that comes back to bite them all, doesn't it? You know?
Well, it can do,
Kids are going, you know, something happens and they get left out. Whatever they put on their social media comes back to bite them, you know?
But I've seen it with younger and younger now, starting that, you know, where they're... I don't know whether it's the parents running the social media accounts or something, but it's almost like a promotion tool to get the kid's name out there.
Okay, really,
like I've seen that sort of creep in the last while, so it's
that's interesting. Instead, like, it's not just like shouting someone out, it's like you nearly plugging someone.
No, and the other side of it as well is because they're still kids as well, you'd have the parents recording them on the sideline.
Right.
Which they're not allowed to do really unless there's, you know, the consent is there for anybody who's playing in that match and stuff. You know, you have to be very careful with things like that. You know, so clubs have had to in recent years actually go out and say to parents, don't be recording unless, you know, it's only your child in the picture or whatever. But
well, it's a minefield, that, isn't it? Recording kids.
But that's what I'm saying. That's where it's nearly gone. Like they're trying to get maybe one up and just get that name or that brand out there early before they've even signed the contract.
I've done anything.
They've done anything really. They're still learning. You know,
and a lot of these parents, and I find it even with our club, like, you know, look, fair play to them for being enthusiastic about their kid and all, but us would have been to say, you know, the knowledge of knowing the bigger picture here and the quality you need to be at the level you need to be at, and the quality you need to have. The parents are miles off. Their thinking is way off. You know, I love the fact that I put loads of time into that kid. But I'd love to bring them out, like I spoke about my nephew Cooper. I'd love to bring some of the parents that I've spoken to in the last few years out to watch a game like that and go, this is the level you need to be at.
Like the level of expectations too high.
Oh, absolutely too high.
But then that as well, that could be damaging then, I suppose.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there, David. Jason McGuinness is, obviously, he's the FAI coach developer, you know, and I was telling him about my own young fella. He was a good player, very good on the ball and all, but not physically developed enough. He said, I don't want to know. He said, Gar, just get him to enjoy his football. If he walks off that pitch smiling, he said, even if he hasn't played well, you tell him, you're doing really well, son, you go again. And I was like, geez, no, he's right. Because the youngster's coming off the pitch, my own youngster going, how do you think we're doing? And that's going to make or break his day. When if we say, like, sometimes I want to tell him, geez, you never touched the ball, but I can't tell him that now, you know. But
I know stuff. I do find that myself because of two young lads involved. One, the eldest fella I coach. The youngest fella I don't. And it's hard to play the coach role and the dad role. The eldest fella, where I love just being on the sideline sometimes with the youngest fella, because I can do exactly that. He comes off and I'm just going, well done, son, you play brilliant.
You did,
you know, and then leave it at that.
You don't have to critique it.
I don't have to critique it. And they go, right, you know, just be a point in the car on the way home from a match where I'm going, right, I'm not talking to you as a coach anymore. This is your dad talking. You know what I mean? And
course,
it's that in itself is a minefield half the time.
Oh, I know. And your parents, when you upset anybody, you know.
I know that's the other side of it with coaching, I find as well, because particularly this year for us, we've got 15 lads. We're only playing 9 aside at the moment, and a couple of new lads come down, and you're integrating them into the team and everything else, and then, you know, there's 6 lads on the bench every week, you know, and you're trying to rotate and you're giving everybody minutes. But then I know, nobody said it to me yet, but I know the parents are kind of going, well, he wasn't here last year, and my son's been here the last 2 years. Why is he not getting a run out? And I kind of going, well, look, as coaches, you're trying to strike the balance between
of course,
winning the game and bringing the team forward, and giving everybody minutes and making sure everybody's happy. You know, I suppose it's at every level of management. You know, you're trying to keep everybody happy, but it's not always doable.
No, it's not doable.
No,
it just isn't. Yeah.
Suppose then going back to yourself then about
So then I finished that. I was about 19 then when I finished that season off. Played a lot of under 21s football and maybe played a few Leinster Senior League games and it made me debut. And we'd won the under 21 cup with Bohs. I was full time at the time. We had a very good side like with Jamie Guinness and Ken O'Man and really really good side. Stephen Rice, Stephen Ward. We were all in the same squad. And Stephen Kenny came to me after that game and said to me, Gar, I think going into next season, I think you should go out on loan. I think it'd be great for you. So if he says that to you, you think, it was hard leaving Bohs and leaving that safety net that was around you, that you'd been there for years. He said to me, Limerick have been on to me. They were down watching a game and, I think this would be a great move for you. I could have went to a few other clubs. I think I could have went to Bray, which was so much easier and the likes of them on loan. But he said to me, I think you should go down there on loan. So I went down to Limerick on loan for the start the next season. Now I still trained with Bohs. I was still full time there.
Were they Division 1 at the time?
Limerick were Division 1. I still trained with Bohs all the time and then went and played with Limerick the weekends. But I really enjoyed it. Really, my first experience of, getting away from, your mates and all, which you might think fellas might struggle with, but nobody kind of knew yet. They knew you were coming down. Who's this young coming down on loan from Bohs? But I really done well. Really was flying. I think I played like 15 games, first 15 games, and I was in a different environment. I was playing in a different environment of football, I would say. And it's just building the ball up the park, and you're coming from, schoolboy football where you're like get it down and play it and all like that. You're going, Jesus, there's nobody passing the ball.
Get a turn and hoof it.
Yeah. So it was an eye opener to me, and I enjoyed the whole, going around to different clubs, the likes of Cove and Finn Harps, and I didn't think these places existed. Like it was at that age,
Traveling the country.
Yeah. So I done that for about 6 months, and Stephen Kenny came to me then and goes, "Look, you're doing really well. I want you to come back for the second half of the season." He says, "We're going off to play in Europe." I think they were playing Kaiserslautern at the time. "We're going off to play in Europe, Gar. If you come back and go out and play with the 21s, and then you'll be in the first team squad for the rest of the season." I was like, "Great, this is brilliant. Everything is perfect, exactly the way I wanted it."
It's falling into place.
Exactly, yeah. And then I went to play that 21s game that night. I'll never forget it. And I done my cruise ship. It was the worst moment of my life. Like, it really...
And it couldn't have come at a worse
time.
time.
It couldn't have come at a worse time. It was like my dad was at the game and he was like, "I actually can't believe it's happening." Because Bohs were playing them that night over in Germany, and the same night the 21s, I was playing with the 21s in the Alsa or Sports League or somewhere. And I remember turning and just heard a snap. I was thinking, oh jeez, that's not great.
So it wasn't even a tackle or that, and you just literally went to turn, did you?
They'd only really introduced the blades. Fergal Harkin, I just remember Fergal Harkin, he played for Bohs, but he was the night rep, and he played for Bohs. So he used to give us all boots to try out. He'd say, "I'll try them out," and we'd all be trying them. Next one, I had these blades, like vapor, I don't know what they were. But I remember sticking my foot into the ground and went to turn, and it was like you had a load of elastics, and you just extended them, and they just snapped. That was the noise that I had. Because I can still hear it, like,
Yeah, still haunts you.
Yeah, it still haunts me, honest to God. And back then as well, you done a cruise ship, it was like a death in the family,
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't like
that's not
well documented.
It's not like now where like the medical side of things has moved on so much.
Yeah. Like, people had retired over cruciates,
Yeah.
I did get the op and all of that, but the recovery was like, it was about a year. It was 9 months to a year of recovery, and
and probably the recovery wasn't even an exact science at the time.
It wasn't. Now we did have a physio, and I was obviously lucky that I was into the second year of that contract I had, so it was full time. I was going out to the Alta every day, and the first team were training, and I was just recovering and doing the work I was supposed to be doing, but we didn't really know. I remember being on wobble boards and all that stuff, trying to strengthen up around your knee and all that crap. Like, you just didn't know where you were at with it. But that was a very hard time in my life, because I'd given up the apprenticeship, and took the chance of going playing full time, and then I done my cruise ship, and you're lying in a hospital bed for very hard. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you start to see people moving on at that point, because I'm probably 20. So people are buying houses, and I'm with my missus and all, and people are buying houses, or they're into the, you know, the fourth year of their apprenticeship, and you're lying in a hospital bed going,
So when you're doing that recovery, then are you questioning then your decisions like to drop the
well,
apprenticeship?
you kind of are, Dave, because there's no, you know, now you would call it, say, like, oh, he's struggling mentally, probably needs a bit of a dig out. But back then, there was none of that.
Is there anyone reaching out to you, like, saying, how are you getting
Not
on? How are
really,
you doing?
no. Well, look, because I was able to go there every day and train and do the few bits I was still kind of in the loop and in contact. But you were like, you knew how far you were. If I was away from the first name when I was out on loan, I was coming back. I was so far away then, because the other fellas had pushed on. Like, Stephen Rice was there, and he had kicked on a bit, and he was playing in the middle of the park, and was actually got Irish under 21s caps, and I was kind of going, that should have been me. I was ahead of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I done what Stephen Kenny asked me. I went out alone, and we done well, and I came back, and I was to be in the squad, and then I wasn't. And then Stephen Ward came in, and he done well, and he got his move to Wolves.
So you blame a Fergal on the boots?
Is
that Fergal's fault?
I haven't worn blades again. That was 25 years ago, and I still haven't worn blades. But yeah, so I done that year of recovery, and it was the first time I'd really say got into the weights and all. I kind of bulked up in that year and everything. But my contract had ran out, and but they still had to look after you. So Stephen Kenny came to me at the end of that year when I was just coming back, and he says to me, "Yeah, look, obviously you're going to get another year, but I want to give you another year after that as motivation to go again." So he gave me another 2 years, which was great. And you know,
brilliant, yeah.
I'll always be in debt to him for that, because where you were half thinking, should I just jack this in now, and I'm recovered now, they've paid for my operation, should I just go play, you know, Leinster Senior or whatever? And he gave me another 2 years, but he says, I want you to go out on loan again. So I went out to Kilkenny, and I did it. No, did I go to Kilkenny? I did. I went to Kilkenny and did 6 months there, and then came back. But Stephen Kenny was getting the bullet then, wasn't he? So I was like,
it's probably not the same environment then.
It's not the same environment. It's mad, and it was my first experience of a change of environment. You know what I mean? New manager, players are leaving. Oh, he always wanted me. He's going to look after me, and he's going to this, that, and the other.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden, the manager's gone. Gareth Farley had come in.
Yeah.
But I had come back to the club, and I played a few games under him. It just wasn't the same. Like, you know, you're like,
you just weren't getting the same vibe anymore.
Yeah, no, it was time to move on, and I had an opportunity at the end of that year then to move on. And like I said, that crossroads in your kind of life where, you know, you're not earning great money. You're now 21. People are pushing on. So I had an opportunity to go back and finish my apprenticeship. I'll go working for a flooring company. But then I was like, Kildare had come in for me. Kildare were flying at the time. A fella called John Ryan was there.
That was Division 1 as well, was it?
That was Division 1. So I went and played for them for a year. You know, I really enjoyed that. Nelson had just left, actually. But
and the place was still running, was it?
The place was still running, yeah.
You know what he's like.
Yeah. So I went and played down there for a year and done really well in the first division. I think I got into the team of the year in the first division or something. So then at the end of that year, Rovers came in for me. So I'd signed for Rovers. Pat Scully was there at Rovers. He offered me a 2-year deal at the end of that season. And, like, you know, hard to sign for Rovers. Like, I'm being a balls man, you know?
Yeah. They're asking for it in the stands then, aren't you?
Especially anywhere in and around, you know, my ma's or whatever. Like, I remember getting stick off kids like that. I'm like, how do they even know anything about this, you know?
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. So I signed for Rovers then. And I ended up there for, I think, a year. But I left Rovers then. I went to back to Limerick. So I was hopping up. But that's the way the League of Ireland was back then.
Yeah.
You were hopping around from one place to another. And
you see the way you had such a long time with Bows?
Yeah.
Do you think with those loan spells that you had, the fact that you went down to Limerick and you did Kilkenny and stuff, do you think when you came back to Bows, because you'd done them loan spells, you weren't as tempted to stick with Bows because you knew that you could play somewhere else, you could do it?
Yeah. Did you know what? Absolutely. I knew anywhere I went then, like I spoke about, you know, Finn Harps away and Galway away and Cove away, there would have been the apprehension of like, Jesus, can I play out there, you know, against them, or would I be able? But I knew then, having been out alone and played in all these places and scored a few goals, you were on,
you can put me in anywhere.
Yeah. But to be honest with you, before I done the cruise ship, I thought when I was coming back, I was going to I would have, you know, pushed to play. You know, I definitely would have been, you know, got more appearances than I did at that point, but it just wasn't to be.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Did you feel like you lost that in your game? Or did you think you were just as good when you came back after your cruise ship?
You know what? I wasn't as good as I was. The loan at Limerick, that was as good as it was for me in the League of Ireland, was that loan at Limerick, because it was absolutely flying.
Yeah.
But after the cruise ship, you definitely lose, you know, mentally even you lose something, you know, that kind of.
You're always conscious it'll go again.
Absolutely. And then you can't even overload, I couldn't even overload me knee to the point of, you know, we used to train like a mad joke. Like me and Jamie Guinness would be running up and down the monument in Phoenix Park, like on our days off, just because we wanted to play that much. But you couldn't do that. Them things, you were actually restricted by an injury that, you know, came out of the blue, you know.
Yeah.
But I when I'd left Rovers then and signed for Limerick, I signed for Limerick at the end of that one. I was actually playing against Rovers down and they were playing in Talca Park at the time. They weren't even in Tallaght yet. And we were playing in Talca Park. I played dummy cruciate again. The same knee. The same knee. So and it wasn't even as, it was a tackle this time, but like I said to you, mentally after doing the first one, you're never really 100% confident. I remember the tackle I went in on. I wasn't confident, and maybe it would have been mentally right. It would have just tackled properly.
If it wasn't on your mind, you would have just went through it.
I kind of went in sideways, and the knee just kind of went, and I went, oh jeez, I'm doing something there. And it was the one that was had to get the operation in already. And I went and got a scan like the next day. Limerick sent me a scan. They said, you're not going to believe it. You're after doing it again. You didn't do a full tear. It didn't completely separate, but you've torn it to the point where it needs to be repaired. So I'm like, all right, so my recovery is like better this time. They were like, no. The whole graft has to be replaced. Like, so it's the same again. So I was back into the same loop again.
So another year out, was it?
It was another year out, but I wasn't even full time at the time. I was working, so it was harder to, you know, to take a bit of time off work, and then I had to, you know, try and do your recovery. And at that point then, I'm like 23, 24, I think, and I was after getting me letter. I was after applying for the fire brigade, and I was after getting me letter to go in to the fire brigade. So I was kind of going, right, Gar, this has like been sent down from, you know, to tell you something, like, you know what I mean? You better like clear the decks.
Proper crossroads moment.
Yeah, 100%. And look, and do I regret it? Absolutely not. Like at that point when I got that letter, I didn't play for a year because I knew, first of all, I had to do my recovery for the second cruise ship. But then for a year, I didn't do anything because I knew if I got injured again, I wasn't going to get into the fire brigade. So
and you had to prioritise that at that stage.
That's that gone.
That's that gone. So I was 24 at that stage, and even at that, I went for a medical for the fire brigade when I was 24, and they were like, "Look, we're not failing your medical, but we want a letter from the surgeon to say you're fit to do the job that you're going into." And I was like, "What?" So I had to go chasing up the surgeon that had done, because that's how apprehensive they were about letting me come in, because my knee was in a bundle, you know. And then at that point, it's 2007 as well, and 2006, 27, something.
The recession and all this.
The recession is starting to hit, so there's nobody thinking about, you know, football or anything like that. They're thinking about your job,
keeping food at the table.
Job. Yeah. So that was that then for the League of Ireland kind of end of things, and I got into the fire brigade and I done my training. I think it was about 9 months doing my training, and I never kicked the ball for the whole time. But at that point then, as soon as my training was done, I was there going, right, I'm in now. So
you passed your probation.
Exactly, I think I went up to Monaghan, I played a couple of games up there, and I went down to, I went back down to Kildare. John Ryan was there, and I played a couple of games there. Darren McKeely was on to me, Dublin City, and I was trying to plan out all out. But it just never really worked out, that didn't. I ended up signing for Mochtas. So, and that was my first kind of step into the Leinster Senior.
Leinster Senior,
but they weren't even in the top division at the time.
Really?
They were in the third league down, and they'd no changing rooms. And
was that just because you were in that vicinity anyway?
Yeah, well, Brian McCarthy was there.
Someone out there,
Brian McCarthy was there. He was at the Bin at Bowls as a young lad, you know, and I knew Brian, and Brian kind of knew that I was, you know, floating around. And Kevin Brady, an old coach of mine, was friends with Brian as well. So I just said, look, I'll go kick a ball again. So that's how we ended up in the Leinster Senior League, but I was a few leagues down, so nobody even kind of noticed you were running around like a mad thing. And but then progressed from there on. I ended up signing for a year later. I think I signed for Wefty.
Yeah.
And I kind of kicked on from there. That's where I met all the lads,
Alan, Nelson,
and Crockett and Carl and all of them were there, and Spanky, Carl's older brother.
Yeah.
That was a great team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great team, really. Full of mad jokes now, but
they're still like that now.
Yeah. So I went from there. Then I played that year in the AUL, and then I signed for Phoenix. Oh, local teams with loads of jerseys and loads of
I can
tracksuits. Just
imagine,
collected
yeah,
them
yeah.
all. You know? I signed for Phoenix and done a year there with Phoenix with me mate Craig Sheridan. There, I'm in the fire brigade where he was there. So and Cairnsey, Ray Cairns, you know Ray.
Yeah.
Ray was there as well. So Ray's a good pal of mine. He was there. So I went down and signed for Phoenix into the Leinster Senior League. And at that stage, I'm probably about 26, 27. So I kind of missed that whole. I would say I nearly missed your peak years, you know,
Yeah,
between your
mid 20s.
Yeah, mid 21 to 20, like 6 and 7. We had injuries, and then I kind of stopped for a year because of work. And from then on, then Phoenix, I just kind of kicked on in the Leinster Senior League and really enjoyed that. I
Yeah.
done a year there, and then I signed for Bluebell.
So you were chasing trophies.
More or less,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I didn't enjoy going across the M50 to Bluebell, but I enjoyed it when I got there. If I could have moved that club onto the north side, it would have been great, you know.
Yeah.
And was it 2 years you did out in Bluebell?
We did 2 years initially, and then I did a year. They hadn't won the league in I don't know how many years. First year we came second, and done the second year out there, and we won the league.
Who was the manager out there?
It was Andy Noonan.
Andy Noonan, yeah.
He was the manager every time for the whole time I was there. He was the manager, and when I won the league, it was nearly like a mental release out there. It was a chance to come back to the north side and all. I ended up signing for Mochtas again, just because of the proximity of where it was.
Yeah, were you finding it hard to get over there?
Like at the time with 4 young kids, Gavin, it was just, you know,
yeah,
you're kind of leaving home and you're going on to the M50 and you're sitting there. As much as the football was great, the people over there were great. Sometimes football can be a chore if you're stuck in traffic on a Tuesday night at 5:30, especially in the M50 and the likes of that. So when I came back, it's a decision I ultimately regret coming back and with Mochtas, not because of the people there or anything, just that I had so much more to give over in Bluebell.
Yeah, did they win the league again?
Who, Bluebell?
Did they go back to back after you left?
They won it the year I'd left. Then Mochtas had won it the year after that, and I'd signed for them. I'd signed back for Bluebell, and then I went and won it with Bluebell and again that year. But then you're kind of coming to the end. Then you're kind of down. You're into 32, 33, and you start to go, right, there's loads of miles on the clock here. I'm not as fit as I used to be, or I probably was, but maybe I just didn't have the stomach for it anymore.
Yeah. Are you thinking as well? Is it still in your mind about the cruciate and doing an injury because you're doing a physical job?
Yeah,
being in the fire brigade and stuff.
I still wake up at night now, pains in my knee, believe it or not, and I'm doing a bit of running. Like I ran the marathon last year, and I go, what am I bleeding doing? It stuck in my head as well that when I had the second cruciate, the surgeon said to me, look, you're going to need a knee replacement. I was like, what? And he said, no, you are going to need a knee replacement. It's just up to you when you get it. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, if you go back in the maggot now for years, like, squatting 100 kilos and all that crap, he says, you're going to need a knee replacement. It's a great Barstool story, or it would have been this only for me now. It wouldn't have been. You know what I mean? I made the most of what it was. At least
you're honest, because that's usually the Barstool talk,
it's only when you're telling the story that them kind of injuries come into it, and mine were like terrible injuries. But even if we hadn't had the injuries, like I wouldn't have been Kevin Hunt. Like, do you know what I mean? You know,
there's always somebody better.
There was,
next year,
yeah. But I had a good run at it, like especially the Leinster Senior League years, and when I was a young fella in the schoolboy, I had a great run at it and really enjoyed it. I've always been around football, except for that few months that I was training the fire brigade. So that kind of led me up towards the end. I suppose I went back around COVID. Just after COVID, I went back. They asked me to go back over to Bluebell, and when I went back over, I might have been, I don't know what age I was, but I kind of gone, here, like, some of these kids are like 15 years younger than you or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say,
you're feeling your age at that
stage. It's definitely time to jack it in,
Yeah. But you do. I think there's always a common theme with people when they talk about their football history, and there's always moments where things could have gone different ways, and there's always that what if. Like, I think everybody has it, whether it's a new manager coming in, whether it's an injury getting picked up, and something for whatever reason it wasn't meant to happen at that moment in time for them, and it just goes back to the small percentage that make it and the realities of making it in football. Like you said, talking to the parents sometimes, they kind of need a bit of a reality check, because the percentage, like it's 0.001 or whatever it is, of making it at a professional level, even in the League of Ireland.
Well, the kids now have a much better chance, with staying in the League of Ireland, and the quality of coaching they're getting. Like that 14s, 15s, and 16s, I think it is League of Ireland league is absolutely brilliant. Like some of them some of them, the quality of football, I know I've mentioned that already, in that is absolutely brilliant. Well worth watching. I'd go and watch that now quicker than I'd go and watch a top Leinster Senior League game now.
Yeah.
Just got more interest in that now. Maybe that's just because, you feel like when you played Leinster Senior League, it was better. Like,
Yeah.
But,
Do you think though there's a lot more moving around now at underage than they used to be?
Absolutely.
Like the length of time you spent with Bowles in particular.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that, right? So from my era, not a lot. Like, my parents would have went to some games, but a lot of kids back then were going to games, and they might be going well for them, or they might be playing for weeks. Because their parents went at the game and didn't know, there's nothing on social media, they just come home and say, how'd you get on? Oh, it was great, I scored 3 goals. The kid mightn't have played, so, for 3 weeks. But if a kid doesn't play now for 3 weeks, man, they're at the game, and you can nearly see the face from the other side of the pitch.
Yeah.
So, before they arrived home in the car, they've sent you a text message. And then next of all, they're looking for a release. And then they're signed for another team across the road. And so the moving around happens because parents are unhappy. Not because kids have to become resilient. You're going to be on the bench. You're going to be taken off.
I do try instill that in the lads as well. Like, parents aside, we sit down, we'll have a team meeting, and I'll be saying to the lads, look, lads, you're getting to the stage now where you can't be going back to your man, dad, and complaining because it's not working for you on the pitch. Only you can put it right.
Yeah.
It's not down to us as coaches. We come down, we put the training session on, and whoever puts the effort in training.
Yeah.
Do you think the parents' involvement now makes the kids nearly softer? Like,
But
as you say, they have to be more resilient.
Yeah,
you had to be resilient.
No, they definitely do. It definitely is making them softer. But I suppose there's the structure in place now around kids in general is making them softer. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and I say the structure, I'm even just talking about, the gear that's being given to them, and they're being brought to training, and even a small little thing like not small little thing, but playing 7v7 pitch games. And like, we played 11v11 at that age.
Yeah.
Like, if you could run fast, you were getting a trial to Arsenal. It was just the way it was. We were big and strong. Because if you think it now, you'd run out. Some of the players that got trials here, there, and everywhere, got international caps when I was a young player. If they were playing on the pitches now, they'd run out of pitch. It's all
100%. It's all progression, and it's all
exactly
do it at a slower pace and go, because you do a couple of years at 7 aside, then you do 1 year at 9 aside, and you're 13 by the time you hit 11 aside.
Exactly.
Now. 12, 13.
And even you're talking about, does it make them softer? Like, last Sunday we had a game, and it's a 7v7 game for my under 10s, and I knew, like, and you've a goalkeeper and you've 6 outfield positions, so you're gonna have 4 changes you're gonna have to make. So you're talking about making them softer. I sent a message out to the parents before the game and said, just to let you all know, we have 11 players available tonight. Will you let your young lad know there will be changes, and they will, everybody will try and get everybody game time. That wasn't aimed at the kids. That's aimed at the parents.
100%.
I'm not highlighting this here now. Don't come near me.
Yeah.
You'll karate chop you away.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got 11 kids on the sideline and you tell them that message, they'll just go, all right, and they'll go.
100%. And for my team, do you know who's the biggest one that suffers the most? It's my own young, because he's the easy one to just go, come on, get off. When he says that, you're like, shut up, you lit,
Yeah. And then the other side of it is, like, even if your child is one of the better players on the team, you're still going to be, his name is going to be the first one out of the parents' mouth when my child doesn't play, but such and such plays all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or any of that. And even though it might not be the case, that's just their knee-jerk reaction is to
of
go,
course.
What about your child?
He's the focus on their aggression nearly sometimes,
all the time.
Or subconsciously that's definitely happening,
Yeah, because it's like they're going to say it's favoritism, or but they have to remember as well, you're a volunteer and you're only there because you have a child involved.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? So they go hand in hand.
There's a pathway for everyone to volunteer. That's what we keep telling them.
Feel free to join in.
Consider it a learning moment.
Exactly.
So going back to your career then, where are you finishing up? You finishing up at Mochtas?
No, Bluebell.
You finished up at Bluebell?
I finished up. I only done that year with Mochtas, and I went back to Bluebell, and I did another 2 years there with the first team. In the second year, I think we'd won the league again, and I'm around 33, 4 maybe. And then I actually came back and played for the Saturday team for a year, but it was only hopping in and out. My stomach wasn't really in it with the Saturday team, and then it was in around COVID had hit, so it was nearly a natural end. Like, I didn't. I wasn't 100% committed, and I would have been a player that was always 100% committed, to everything. It was just a natural end. And then the other thing, yourself with families, you have 4 young kids, and
Yeah.
everybody's, making their own way, and all of a sudden football has gone from priority up here to somewhere around here, and then it's really down the bottom. And that's just the way it is. You have to kind of.
And before you picked up the mantle then at Tyrrelstown and got involved in that end, had you got moments there where you were itching to get back? Or?
Yeah, I actually went and played for Tyrrelstown and everything. Clubs ring me going, would you not, get your. They're probably thinking of me as the player I was 3 or 4 years before that. Tyrrelstown rang me, will you come and play a game for us? We're playing against Sheriff and it's a friendly and see how you feel. And I said, you know what? I think I've prepared a bit. I'll go out and play. And I went and played a game for for Tyrrelstown against Sheriff down at Haddon Park. And I actually done well, Cav. I was thinking, Jesus, I'm 30 odd, but I'm going grand here. I swear to God, I couldn't walk for about a week with me knee. I could not walk me. I just couldn't sleep. Couldn't walk, and I just went, this is just.
Yeah. So your mind's telling you one thing, then your body's telling you another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even now, as I said to you, I'm doing a good bit of running, and like all this straight lines and all is grand, But the game and the tackling and the twisting and turning, I don't think I'll ever be able to do that again.
Yeah, the game's just not played in straight lines.
No, I played for Bluebell there last summer. We got together and played a tournament, 7v7 tournament, but I knew in my head what I could do and what I couldn't do. So it was nearly just floating around and playing. But it was great to kick a ball again, though.
Does the cruciate ever still come back into it if you were doing that? Like, would you still think about it still?
No, not really. No. I wouldn't think about it. It's more annoying now than anything else. You know what I mean?
It's just one of those things getting old.
I think about it, honestly, if I did it again, I'd just go, I'll just leave it.
Where's that knee replacement?
Yeah, exactly. That thing, yeah.
So tell me then how you came to get involved in Tyrrelstown.
So my young lad, I have 3 older girls, and they were all playing Gar, and I was involved up there in Tyrrelstown, Gar, helping them out, but my young lad then started coming to the age where he was going to play. I think he was 6, and I was over at Mochtas helping out with the academy. I brought him over there as soon as he could kick a ball, and I ended up helping out a little bit with the academy. But then Jamie Wilson, who was the development officer up in the area in Tyrrelstown, he got a few flyers together and started talking about a team, getting the team back on in Tyrrelstown, a reformation, because it's a huge catchment area, as you know yourself, Gav, having lived up there in around Hollystown and, Hollywood Rat now and out as far as Kilbride.
Huge. The houses go on for miles.
Just go on for miles. And so a few flyers went out about, kids coming down onto the Astro, charging them €2 on, and let's see what comes of it. Just like, first week we had like 30 kids, and there was myself and Davey Elder and Stephen Wilson, and we were just kind of like split. Like, you go, anyone that's like 10 go over there, if you're 11 go over there, and then that rolled on for a few weeks, and it went from like 20 to 40 to 80, and then all of a sudden you're like, we better start making teams here and seeing where we're going. So that was in 2021. So here we are now. We've 340 kids, and
that's unbelievable.
22 teams, and like we're the structure is there. It's in place with a great committee, to be a proper club, but it takes time. It all takes time.
I'd imagine the admin side of it.
So we have. I've been everything at the club. Like, I've been the secretary, I've been the chairman, I've been everything. And coaching the 13s and the 10s and girls and everything. But I got promoted and worked there last year, and I was going hard for that, and I was struggling to juggle the chairman stuff with everything I was doing outside. So we ended up in the last committee meeting going, and I put myself forward as the vice chair, and a good friend of mine, Aisling Flanagan, came in as the chair, and she's absolutely brilliant. She takes all that weight away from you. You know what I mean?
Somebody needs to have that mind for it, don't they?
Yeah, she's very good. Like, she's an accountant, so she's used to. You're sitting in front of a computer for too long, and I want to watch the match. So we've great help and a great committee, and that's helping to drive things on.
Yeah,
really,
you do need a team, especially like as you said, over 300 kids.
Yeah,
even the admin before you even kick the ball.
Yeah,
getting everybody filling out the forms, the guard event, and the safeguarding, all of it that comes with it nowadays.
We got the club mark last year, and the FAI club mark, and people wouldn't realise how much goes into that.
Yeah.
We've gone from, just being a player and my whole life, playing football, turning up with your boots and just playing. The amount that goes into getting kids onto a pitch and the structure that has to be in place, it's phenomenal. Like, I take my hat off to anyone that, you know, is involved and puts that work in. It's really, really tough, honestly.
So how many sort of background staff, like how many people have you got volunteers in the club?
So we've got like 6 committee members who are all very active and very good. But in and around that, like the majority, even the parents now that the 3 main coaches that started with me in 2021 are still there. Like Davey Elder's still managing the 16s, Stephen Wilson's managing the 11s. There's very good parents and very good help around the area because they're all local kids.
Yeah.
You know, if we need something, you stick it out. And the Gar are very good as well. The Gar and Tyrrelstown are very good as well.
They've been going a long time, haven't they?
They've been going 15,
16 years.
15 years since you would have lived up there. So, you know, there's good relationships there as well. And you want to keep it like that because it's the same pool of kids.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. They're all local kids. But what we have there, similar to ourselves here in Finglas, is, you know, the service that you offer kids to play football. The selling point for everybody and for parents, I suppose, is they open the door in the estate and the kids can just walk to the Astro. They can see the lights.
Yeah.
You know, that's a huge thing for kids to play football
on the doorstep.
because a lot of them kids that we have, and not through any fault of the parents, some of the parents don't drive. Some of the parents, you know, if they had to drive down to Cardiff for Mock, they go, I'm not going down there. There's a little bit of traffic down in the village there, and I'm not going down that way. So they probably wouldn't play football.
Yeah.
So the service that you're trying to offer is, you know, as well as progressing the club, you know, local football or a facility locally for kids to play football, you know.
Yeah, it's very important.
It is, but on the coaching side of it, last year, 18 months ago, I brought in Philly Hughes. You know, Philly.
Yeah.
Philly's an A licensed coach. He's one of my best friends, and I was hounding him for ages to come up and do it. He just finished with Drogheda, and I asked him would he be interested in the director of football role to come up. So he's brought a level of professionalism there, you know, for all the coaches, someone for the coaches to look up to, or someone for them to ring. He's put on seminars and coaches' nights, and on rotation he takes every team, which is taking our little community club, you know, and bringing it to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's just little steps like that every time, isn't it?
You're not going to move. You know, Dave, clubs don't move. Obviously, we've exploded over the last 5 years, you know, from no kids, €2 in at the gate, to 300 odd kids and 20 odd teams. But there has to be, you know, you can't evolve your structure as fast as that and your facilities.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think initially when it's a new club, encouragement is there and people are enthusiastic for it. And you're going to get that influx of kids who hadn't got this to begin with.
Yeah.
But then things level out.
They do level out.
Slower progression then.
And you know, and that's needed because I would have been, you know, suppose because things exploded so fast, we get loads of messages about, oh, my son wants to play or my daughter wants to play. And I would have been getting all their people's numbers and going, oh yeah, come on. All right, now I have 7 people at that age who want to play, and I'd start a WhatsApp there with them 7. Then I text them and go, listen, is any of them parents want to? Next of all, you have a new team. Then you're like, that team encounters problems, but then I have a girls' team over here that you're trying to start, and you're so it does need a reset.
You need time to catch up on yourself.
You do. You think you can do everything, and you think, you know, you have to. The teams will have to evolve with the club and the facilities, unfortunately, which is the big thing in Ireland, as we've seen over the past few years around this time of year.
Yeah, I think most clubs, particularly newer clubs, facilities
it's terrible.
Top of the list, like in terms of what they need.
And with the like more recently in the last few weeks with the rain,
it just hasn't stopped.
Getting games.
It just hasn't stopped. I fought for our pitches up there were brutal, you know, in the park, and I was in with Fingal. You know, went to a meeting with Fingal, and they said, "Oh yeah, like we're looking to do the drainage in the pit on the pitches." And I said, brilliant, that's great. They dug up our pitches and done the drainage on it. We were out of pitch for a year. We were not fighting for Astros. We actually had no pitch. We were over in Clonee at one stage playing, and then we were down in Mulhuddard. So the drainage is done now. Brilliant. Oh, the drainage is done. It's great. Pitches are still off because there's been so much rain.
Really?
It's unbelievable. You know?
Is this the pitches next to the skill?
Yeah.
The Lekala, is it?
The Lekala skill, where the Gar pitch is, and then down just at the playground is our pitches, but the pitches have still been unplayable.
And you share them with the Gar and
the Gar have
Clonee?
their own. No, the Gar have their own pitches. The grass pitches, the Gar have their own pitches, and we have our own pitches. Clonee are only on the Astro. They're not on the pitches at all.
Right.
They're the anchor tenant for the Astro, which the anchor tenancy was brought up, you know, before we were an established club. You know, maybe the timing wasn't right for us, but you know, we're still fighting to get as many slots as we can. Like so is every club.
Yeah.
You know, we have an obligation to our kids to fight for slots for them.
Yeah.
You know, and so is every other club. And I'm not, I'm not naive to think, you know, we should be getting everything, but we want a fair crack at it, though.
Well, that's it. It's only fair.
Yeah.
And is the next fight, I suppose, for Tyrrelstown, given, as you said, there's houses for miles, there's like the population is constantly growing out there. To have a football team and a Gar team running and having the facilities there, is that the next fight sort of with
it's the
local
next
councils?
evolution of our club, and we are fighting with local councils. We're not fighting, we're just only we're just making them aware of it. Like we're turning away. Say turning away is not a great word, but we're getting inquiries every single day. My wife runs the social media for our club, and the amount of private messages that come in for people looking for their kid to play because they can see the lights on the Astro, but you've nowhere to put them.
Yeah,
we don't have enough hours on the Astro. We don't have enough volunteers yet brought up to safeguarding and we talk about coaching levels,
PDP1 and stuff, the entry level stuff.
For starters, should the FAI are not even running them courses anymore.
No.
You can't get on them.
No.
But look, that's the next evolution of it for us. I suppose we had a reset there maybe last year. We constantly getting inquiries about senior teams and the likes of that, Gav. But I think the best thing for us is to evolve with the 16s that we have now, were our original under 11s. So to let them run through to seniors, we may be over the next 5 years, Dave, could nearly have caught up then ourselves.
Yeah. So by the time you have a senior team, the facilities probably will in time hopefully grow.
You would
to
hope.
match
We
that,
got changing rooms there. It was, us along with the guy went over, to Fingal, and I was fighting like mad to try and get us changing rooms because you've girls teams and you've all the issues that come with that. They'd absolutely nowhere to get changed. They'd nowhere to leave their bags. And all the kids, little things like kids putting their bags down at the side of the pitches. It's lashing rain. They've iPhones. They're giving out. And you're like, this is terrible.
Yeah. Well, I played for Tyrrelstown 15 years ago when it was in its earliest form. And I was saying to you off air, Gary Barker was looking after teams at the time. And I think we had a Saturday team and a Sunday team. I was on the Sunday team. We were sponsored by the local pub up there, Jack O'Neill's. There was beers and platters afterwards. That's all we cared about, and we just got to run out. But the GA was, I always remember the GA was always advertised. Like they had players wanted signs all over the entrances of Tyrrelstown. I didn't even know the Tyrrelstown had a football team until I was out walking my dog and I seen the lad they play with for Verona, and he was doing a spot of training. So that's how I got involved. But it was still a big effort at the time to grow the club, but to see where it's at now, obviously they must. I think they just fell off the wayside for a few years until you sort of picked it back up and stuff.
Yeah. Look, I think everybody knows who we are now. So and that comes from good people in the committee and good structure, and we're starting to see the benefit of the likes of bringing in Philly as a director of football. Like we've, my own team are playing at 10.4, schoolboy level, which for a community club is brilliant. Like,
absolutely.
There's 16, 17 leagues in the under 10s, and we're up to 10.4. We played Mochtas last week and beat them. Like, and they're little things that in your own head you kind of look at and go, Jesus,
we've come a long way.
We've come a long way here,
yeah.
And that's happening throughout the ages because of the structure that's been put in place. But it doesn't happen overnight.
No,
you have to invest time in it and money as well. Now we're the cheapest. We try and have ours as the cheapest, which they are the cheapest fees around the place. But trying to pick where you're putting your money because you're spending the majority of your money on Astros, and that's just the facts. That's just the and if you don't spend it on Astros, the kids don't play. And then if teams fighting each other all over the place to try and get on Astros.
So would you say let's say facilities is priority number one?
It's absolutely.
And then
priority.
Second to that, probably a close second, would be volunteers, and that's in terms of coaches more so.
I never really had an issue, because anybody that walks onto that Astro, if I see them and I don't know that gem, I'll give them a job, like. so
hand them a set of cones to put out.
Yeah, like I would say, if you get more like Astro access, or you have. The other thing to think about, like, and you don't think about this as a player, when you're taking fees from parents or whatever, like I said at the start, you were throwing teams up all over the place. You have to have something to give them as regards a training facility, gear, a league to go into, insurance, proper coaching. Like, you're throwing teams together without all that stuff is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But we have a good structure in place that if we have the space and capacity to put teams out to train and play, we're willing to do it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no issues there. But again, like every other club, we just need to, evolve.
Yeah.
That's just the way it
But it
is.
sounds like, given the, I know it's probably a long time in some aspects, but in football in terms, it's been a short time. It's been 5 years now.
5
This is your
years,
fifth
yeah.
year now.
Yeah.
Just how far you come, the amount of people you have involved now, the
Yeah.
amount of kids that you have playing.
Yeah, and that will only get bigger if we can grow with it,
Yeah.
But look, come here, you look at money being pumped into all types of stuff, in this country, and you say to yourself, "Jeez, why don't they just build Astros everywhere?" I know
Yeah.
it's not as easy said as done, but if you have an Astro, especially in the summer, if you look at the Astro in Lecale, there's kids jumping them fences, and them fences are 20 foot high,
Yeah.
just to get in there for the whole
Yeah.
day to kick a ball around,
Yeah.
And
We've had the discussion as well because, like that, the team that I coach, we've played one competitive game since November.
Yeah.
And most of that is because now we have an all weather,
Right.
but we've 20 teams in the club,
Yeah.
and they're all trying to use it. And then if there's a cup game, they're getting priority.
Yeah.
So even with an established club that's been around years, like Fingers United or whatever, and Wefton before that, it's still managing.
Yeah.
To try get everybody a game. You
Yeah.
know, it's and we had said before about the whole winter football, summer football debate.
And
I was like, I've never played summer football. It's always been September to May.
We kind of said status quo, keep it as is, like. But I don't.
This last few months, I'm like, I'd love summer football now.
So
at this stage.
Jay McGuinness there at the my mate is involved with the FAO. He's a big pusher for the summer football. It is going to cause conflict between the GA and summer holidays, but I don't think it's sustainable. We can't expect to improve if kids are not playing for nearly 2.5 months.
Yeah.
We just can't.
And that's the reality.
And that is the reality of it now. Kids are not. Some of our kids up there haven't played a competitive game for since November.
Yeah.
And it's the same to ourselves. I think we're not on our own. We realise that every other club is in the same boat. We played a game against Verona there, I think it was a few weeks ago. We played it on Mulhuddard's Astro, which is nearly a 5v5 Astro.
It is. We used to train on it. Yeah, I know the one. Yeah.
And we actually said, look, we know it's too tight to play 7v7. We need to get these kids.
Just that Castle Cutter there.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we won't put cones down the sideline. We'll just say if it hits the fence, it's out.
Yeah.
And that's
it's
that's what you're doing to try and get the kids out.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway.
But now you've come a long way, because even back when I was playing 15 years ago, we were in the crossing the graveyard in Ladies' That's where we used to play, and it was literally just rock up, park outside the graveyard, jump over the ditch, and
hope your car is there when you came back.
I hope it was still there when you came back, because the guards used to park there with the speed camera as well. I think they still do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you were nearly in the guard spot as well. But we had nothing. It was on the sideline. We were getting changed, and that was it.
Well, look, we're established now, hopefully. So, we hope to, keep growing with it. Obviously in the future, I see a clubhouse and I see all them types of things, because, for kids to be able to play locally is huge, because they're not all good enough to play for Mochtas and good enough to play for Cardiff. You want to keep them involved for as long as you can.
Yeah.
But that takes.
But also you want to grow that environment to where they want to stay with Tyrrelstown.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like we said earlier, because a lot of the time kids are bouncing around, they're chasing trophies, or they're chasing opportunities, whatever it might be. And I think at some stage it's gonna go back to where whatever club you're at, that's who you want to stay with. Like, especially if you're in there with a good group of mates.
Yeah, absolutely understand that. And even at that, like myself and Philly, we'll be talking. If there's a player good enough, and we think the player is good enough to go somewhere, he won't have to be ringing, or touting himself around. Like, we'd be ringing for him.
Yeah, you'll chase it for them.
Absolutely.
You're not going to hold someone back. Like,
I have a couple of players that I have my eye on within our club. A couple of them are on my team that I'm thinking, if he keeps developing the way he's developing, he's really, really good. Like, I don't want to have him when he's 14, knowing that he could potentially be, with Pats or with balls or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not what we're about.
I think there's been a bit of a shift recently as well, and I think it's probably based on that, where clubs are nearly trying to not control the narrative, but sort of say to themselves, like you said there, rather than knowing that this child is probably capable of playing at better level at some stage, to keep them at the club, you're nearly saying, look, we'll give you those opportunities here. You know what I mean? We're aware that you're as good as you are. Don't run away just yet.
Yeah.
You know, we like they'll have links with Drogheda or whoever they might be. You know what I mean? They might be a local club, but they'll have a name somewhere, and they'll be able to go, look at, I can send you up there.
Or people that can make a phone call for them. Like if English United would be, say, yous are steps ahead of us. That's the club we kind of, we aspire to be something like yous have, with the Astro and the change rooms and all. But I understand what you're saying. The evolution of your club is getting to the point where players can nearly stay and progress the whole way up and have a chance of League of Ireland. But then the big thing that yous have, is if you don't make it, you can come back and you've got a first team there that are top lengths of senior league team.
Exactly.
That's so you're offering, football the whole way up, and if it doesn't work for you and you come back, you've still given it a go.
And we had the same conversation with Gav Pearce a couple of weeks ago, because he was saying like that the League of Ireland academies come in even to the likes of a home farm, and they'll take lads that are just finishing up at under 13s and they'll take them into the academies, and that's that age group nearly decimated.
That's right.
But then they'll see a lot of them come back then in 2 years' time, and they'll kick on, and that's kind of where they want to be with this new move into the third tier. Where they can give them, that high level amateur run out then as well.
I think it's a good move. I really do. I think it'll give the kids a chance. Like we were talking about earlier about me going on loan to places. It's nearly an opportunity for them to see what it's like to go to tough places. Salt Hill, Devon, and all that. Them places where you go, you're playing against men here, and the kids have developed the right way or realise what it takes to play at that level. So I think it's a good move. Anything like that third division that we can, any way that we can progress the league, football in the country, like that is great.
More pathways and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But what you were saying about the under 14s League of Ireland and 15s League of Ireland, the issue I have with them the issue I would see with it, knowing what's going on there, is they take some amount of kids. Like they take a squad of nearly 20, sometimes more than 20. Like that shouldn't be it. You're kind of going, they know quite well there's going to be 6 or 7 of these on the line every week. Not going to kick a ball. Would
it's actually it's irresponsible, really, isn't it?
It is. Would they not be better off continuing on playing the DDSL under, for Belvo or Home Farm or whoever?
And actually playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you see, it's like you said there, when these lads are coming in with the League of Ireland teams, and then they're probably only getting a proper run out in the likes of a League Cup or something.
League Cup game.
You know what I mean? That's when they're getting a run out, because we were at the Fingers United Bows game that time, and there was nobody there that was going to be playing at the start of the season. They were all still 19, 20.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, brilliant footballers, well able, good, really good footballers, and proper game. But you were probably thinking to yourself, how many of them are actually going to get a run out of the league this year? That kind of way.
Yeah, so maybe not. But if there's a third division now, will they have a chance of going somewhere?
Go out on loan. And see a lot. Gar Pearce was actually saying that about his time down in Longford when he was assistant coach down there, and that's kind of where they were looking to get lads in, the younger lads that were maybe dropping out of an academy and looking to go back. Just go, look, come down and play Division 1 with us or something. Do you know what I mean? And get a run out and experience that.
Yeah, well, because if you can't handle that, well, then you might as well really, forget about your dream of playing for a Rovers first team or a Bows first team, because them kids that are, exceptionally talented, they still have to be able to go out and mix it with, we spoke about Noonan earlier, being able to play in Europe and rougher up centre halves and all. You haven't got that in you, or you're not able for that.
Like even at that level, you're getting a proper mix of players. Like you've got your vets, your old school lads, you know what I mean, your big centre forwards throwing elbows, you get a bit of everything. And that's what you need that experience, because it's like you said, it's not every team you come up against, it's not getting the ball down and playing.
No, it's definitely not.
It's not what you get in the academy, like. So it's an interesting board. Gar, thanks for talking to us this evening.
No bother, lads. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed that.
And come here, if you're ever looking for volunteers, or if you're ever looking for a sponsorship or whatever, we can do all that across all our socials. So we might throw a bit of that up.
That's great. Thanks for
I think Dave's looking to get into a bit of coaching, are you, Dave?
No, definitely not.
What's the team for you, actually?
Gar hasn't showed you the coaching tracksuit yet. And a jacket or that. Yeah, wait
That's
do you
a good idea.
see the kicks at the bring it.
Yeah, you get a jacket and it'll cost you €60, but you get one,
Get your initials on it.
Talk to the missus.
But Gar, thanks very much for coming, and
well done.
we'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks very much.